Hello everyone, quick Ramble video here. Yesterday I was featured on the Drunken Peasants podcast, and so thousands of people were introduced to my channel as being somebody who disagrees with the Amazing Atheist. Isn't that awesome? My video that he was responding to, it got a rush of down thumbs. I'm now at 75 up and 138 down, and I've talked about fleas that will come from a larger channel before, but what's most strange to me, most ironic, is that I just talked about video inception tactics just a couple videos ago. In this past week, I talked about that, and then it happened to me, where my video of 16 minutes, 10 minutes of it were stretched into 30 minutes of content for TJ, right? And if I'm going to respond in kind, I've got to respond to clips of myself and him, and then insert myself in, and then if I were going to take the same sort of arithmetic here, I would be making an hour and a half to 2 hour long video that no one's going to watch. So I'm even decreasing my own little small audience even further than it is small. And then I've got 1,000 upon 1,000 upon 1,000 people coming to my channel after seeing his characterization of me, taking a bit of my video and then having the last say. So, awesome. This is my chance, right after making my video talking about video inception tactics, to try to respond in a very short way. But also, I've got this kind of meta view of it all. So, my tactic in response to that tactic is to try to be as concise as possible and just roll with the punches when people say, oh, you've taken him out of context because you didn't use a clip of him back. Just try to summarize as best as you can, and just know that no matter what you say, that context argument will pop up. So, to respond, I would say if someone changes their mind, you can't trust them is the general theme about what he's saying about Hillary Clinton, and you can only trust people who have held to their convictions for a long time, like, as he gives the examples, Bernie Sanders or Ron Paul. Those are the people that you can trust more. And I'd say no. If you understand why the person changed their mind, and it wasn't willy-nilly, and you agree with the reasons why they changed their mind, maybe because new facts came to light, then you can still trust that person who has changed their mind in the past. And changed their mind a couple times. As long as you understand why. We disagree about baby steps. This is a very big generalization here, but seems like TJ wants an all or nothing, wants somebody who stands on that principle and grabs everything. Even though he gave an example of George W. Bush doing that and being the worst president ever, I think somebody taking baby steps like Obama has with the Affordable Care Act is more effective in getting something done that is a very big goal like universal health care. And I think that somebody taking baby steps like don't ask, don't tell, which some people think was very hurtful to servicemen, even though before that the policy, as I was in the Army at the time, the policy seemed to be hunt down people's personal information if they have just a tinge of an antitonal voice, and then publicly humiliate them and discharge them dishonorably. That seemed to be the policy before. So I don't really understand why people think that the policy that the Clinton administration before enacted was a step back. Don't ask, don't tell, allowed a lot of fine servicemen to serve along with me who were obviously of that persuasion. So, baby steps. I see baby steps being the way to go as far as warming the opposition up to your ideas. And maybe, if we're going to look at leadership and teaching as something that's a good thing, maybe we shouldn't just unilaterally make decisions as an extreme left person, and maybe just try to teach all of those, throngs of Republicans that are out there, hey, maybe you want to learn a little bit about why we think this way. And as we do it little by little, we bring the general populace with us, and so I'd say TJ and I disagree with whether or not you can tell the agenda of a politician who doesn't explicitly state their agenda, and instead they're mindful of the words that they use in order to appeal to more people. I think that looking at someone's career, you can tell which direction they're headed, especially when each step of the way seems to be pointed towards a larger goal. And that's, I think, why Hillary has as many supporters as she does, is because people understand that she's trying to lead us along and be a centrist and get people to jump over that fence, those people who are closest to it, and start leaning more left. TJ said if she sounds like a Republican, then so what if she's a Democrat? And so what if there's a Democrat in office if some of the things that she says appeal to Republicans? And I'm going to say I'd rather have a centrist leaning to the left who sometimes sounds like a Republican in order to get some Republicans to support her than one of those extremists. And if we're going to use this current predicament we're in right here as an example, I would rather have whoever's the Democrat than whoever's the Republican, even though one of those Democrats is a centrist and will try to appeal to more people, and take that center ground. I would rather have her than those Republicans. And I think that you just need to think about what you said, TJ. What's the difference? What is the difference between Hillary Clinton and Ben Carson? Do you honestly think that there would be no difference between the two? I don't think that you do, but you framed it that way. So that would be my whole response to their thing. But as a meta-analysis, because my bent lately has been exposing YouTubers for their tactics, and some of which were just awesomely popular things on my channel. What I want to say about what happened here is watch the Drunken Peasants podcast responding to me, and note how they put on this show in a way that looks like they're trying to be off the cuff and just responding to things, or maybe Scotty is picking the things that TJ is going to just respond to, and they haven't planned anything. They're just going to do this show without much planning, because they're so big that they can't take the time to answer all these little people. But then watch what happens when they're responding to me, in that the points that I'm about to make are addressed by TJ before I make them. And I think that's very telling about how much planning goes into that show. It's more than just being off the cuff. They actually do watch the things beforehand, and maybe have a couple notes, up in front of them, and they, in that respect, putting themselves out there as a show that's like off the cuff and then being pre-planned. I never bought into whose line is it anyway being spontaneous anyway. I always thought that they had pre-planned some of their jokes. It's a show. And I think that I got off pretty light as far as the response that I'm getting right now. It could be worse, but I do think that video inception tactics are very hard to deal with. you just got to sit there and take it, you know. Especially when the channel responding to you is, 100 times bigger. If you call them out, you better be ready for them to send their fleas at you. You better be ready for them to take your clip of a video and turn it into content that is way longer than what you can handle in a response that people will watch. You know? And don't blame them as much because, TJ does this shit for a living, you know? And I think that it's been made into a science in that he stirs stuff up with his main channel and then responds to the haters with the Drunken Peasants channel so he doesn't have to water down his content on the main channel. I think that's a good move by him. I wish I did that more because I'd probably be more effective in getting my own points out there if I wasn't so often answering every person who disagreed with me. And that's the difference. That's why he's got a bigger channel than me, is because he's successfully managing people who disagree with him rather than this conversational thing that I'm doing. So good on him. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I don't think I'll be back in a rambly sense before the Thanksgiving weekend is over. So take care, drive safe, and don't party too hard.